Mm,
All right. Hey, guys, this is
yeah.
the Cog
Hey.
Comp. We are back again with a little live to share, talking about looking on the insides through the lens of the mirror. So our eyes are a lens
Yeah.
and the mirror is the word. So we're basically checking out ourselves and refocusing through our lens in the mirror. So
Yeah.
let's dig into it. So
Okay.
this
Yeah.
episode's going to be based on some pain and suffering through our vision that we have or that God has given us, in a sense. And we have to lead from humility. We have to let the Holy Spirit lead us and allow the Father to fill in the gaps, of what we need to do and how we need to work through it. So, what we do with what we have shows who we are and what we believe. And other people see this a whole lot easier than we do, right? Like it's easier to see someone else's issues rather than it is ours, right? Like, it like you don't see your face until you look into a mirror. You don't see who you are until you look into a mirror. you know so you have to keep your actions and the things you do underneath the microscope so that you can be your own leader in a sense, because you have to lead yourself first before you can do anything else. um Sins separate Sin's separating power encourages us to see everyone through a false lens of either victim or villains, because we all make ourselves either a hero or a victim in our own story. Let's see here. Pain is good and necessary. It helps us locate what is wrong and submit to what is right. The pain is part of the healing process. Suffering is what happens when an old sense of reality crashes into a new one. And that's kind of what we're getting into now, right? Like, our reality that we live in is based off of our beliefs, and our beliefs are powered by our values.
Yeah.
And a belief is just a practiced thought that you hold to be true. So we need to get into the word and realize that this is the truth we need to be basing our life on. Because once again, what you do with what you have shows who you are and what you believe. And that shows because everything you do flows from the heart. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to Travis real quick, and then we're gonna go flip flop.
Okay. Yep. So I'm going to bring it all the way over to Titus because Titus is going to tell us how to be a good steward here. So reading from Titus 1, 7 through 9. For a bishop must be blameless as a steward of God, not self-willed, I'll get to that in just a second, not quick-tempered, not given to wine, not violent, not greedy for money, but hospitable, a lover of what is good, sober minded, just, holy, and self controlled, holding fast the faithful word he has been taught, that he may be able, by sound doctrine, both to exhort and to convince those who are contradict. To convince those who contradict. Okay, yes. So Jesus, he is a good he's a good example on why he is a good steward. So in
Yeah.
Luke 22:42, he's saying he's saying, Father, if it's your will to take this cup away from me, nevertheless, not my will but your wills be done. So Jesus, he had to take the cup of wrath. He didn't want to do it, but he did it for the sake of us. Because not his will, but the Father's will. And right here in Titus it says to not be self-willed. And so Jesus was being a good steward by not doing his own desire. Because if he wanted to, all he had to do was just not take the cup and walk away.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
because I feel like we all have a sense of good and evil inside of us, right? Like there
Mm-hmm.
has to be an objective good and an objective bad, because like like there's always an opposite of something. Like,
Right.
there's no one-sided piece of bread. There's no one-sided pancake. There's always a flip side. Like,
Mm-hmm.
to every one thing has to be an equal and opposite of the other. So,
Yep.
like,
And but before I hand it back to you,
mhm.
okay, in Ephesians it talks about basically what I just mentioned here in Titus, but in greater detail, basically. So Ephesians 5:20, I'm sorry, 4:25 through 32. Therefore, putting away lying, let each one of you speak truth with his neighbor, for we are for we are members of one another. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath, nor give the devil nor give place to the devil. Let him who stole steal no longer, but rather let him who labors, working with his hands, what is good, that he may have something to give to him who has need. Let no corrupt word proceed out of our mouth, but what is good and necessary at edification, that it may impact grace to the hearers. Do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, by whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be put away with all malice. Be kind to one another, tender hearted, forgiving one another, even as God Christ forgave you. So essentially,
Hmm.
if you don't forgive, you won't be forgiven.
Yep.
Basically,
For
yeah,
every measure that you dish out will be dished back to you. You know what I mean? Like forgiveness,
yes.
judgment, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all that.
And
Um,
then, yeah, and this basically explains Titus and Ephesians. It explains just how to be a good steward. And I'll hand
yeah,
it back to you now.
heck yeah. Well, so like we all have to be a leader of ourselves before we can be a leader of others. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, everyone has to lead themselves. So we all are a leader to an extent of something. Like you have to be in a sense of authority, and every position of authority requires you to model an appropriate lifestyle for what you're having to be authority over, or even under, in a sense. You know what I mean? It has to be modeled by something. Like you have to know what you have to get. I mean, you have personal life, family life, social life, financial life, professional life. You know, like, and you have to be blameless, self-willed, not self-willed, not quick-tempered, not violent. You know, you have to be sober-minded. You have to be holy in a sense, self-controlled. You know, you need to be able to be a good steward of things and take care of it properly. Because once again, what you have and what you do shows who you are and what you believe. So the way you treat people, the way you handle finances, the way you handle things. Like if you aren't a good steward over small things, you will never get big things. Like you can never have more than what you're not already taking care of because you're just going to lose it. You know what I mean? So in a sense, it's a blessing to not have something that you're going to like end up mistreating. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to
Because
think about where that
this
passage
even
is.
stems, huh?
I'm like, we're trying to, like, cause I know what passage you're referencing. I'm like, just trying to think, like, where that's
Yep.
at. But I'm sorry, continue.
So we have to realize, in a sense, that this even goes into something we're going to get in with our guest that we're having Thursday. It's really awesome, man. I think it's going to be real like impactful, and like y'all are going to like it. Like I feel like some people are
Mm-hmm.
going to really get some good stuff from it. But we're going to go into some identity stuff, and you have to realize that you cannot place your identity in your struggles and your problems. So whenever you're doing things that doesn't display who you actually are, you need to change. I mean, you can
Mm-hmm.
change. Like we don't have just this basic setting like a robot that we have to get reset back to if we're going through problems and struggles. Like you have to persevere and endure to build character with hope. I mean, there you have to keep your attitude right, right? And that's where I'm going next with this is attitude because that's going to be great. You know what I mean? In order to keep yourself on track or to get yourself out of a rut. So basically, real quick from identity, you aren't cursed even though we have been cursed, right? Whenever you get into the Holy Spirit, whenever you become saved and you start chasing after Jesus, or, you know, in that sense, even if someone doesn't want to believe in Christianity or God or even fall back behind belief of Jesus, to an extent, you have to get your mindset and attitude around the fact that you aren't fighting from a position of weakness. Mentally, your mindset, your will set, and your emotion intelligence, you have to realize that action precedes emotion. So if you realize that you're blessed fighting curses and you're strong fighting weaknesses rather than you're weak fighting to be strong and you're cursed fighting to be blessed, because then you're basing it off of a performance mindset. And whenever you're in performance mindset, you won't have grace and you won't have favor and you feel like you have to earn everything, which then if you fall short, comes all the bad stuff. Comes these 5 bad attitudes I'm about to get into. So, and I'm referring some of this stuff from John Maxwell Leadership Bible. So if y'all, want to get that, I would actually promote it. It's awesome. So there's 5 big attitude obstacles, and it deals with discouragement, change, problems, fear, and failure. And I'm actually going to add one. I'm going to add offense, because offense is like everyone gets offended, and I have a cure to that. Well, I don't. I'm not saying I do, but in a sense, if you're offended, you have the issue. And it's something that you need to work on, because like when you're getting offended, when you're getting discouraged, when you don't want to change, when you're not facing your problems, when you're scared of something, or when you are getting upset because there has been a failure in your life, it's because you aren't making the necessary changes that you need to make in order to do better. Right? Like that means you need to steward better. So you need to put the lens to your ways and actually put the light to the word in the mirror and start actually correcting yourself, or else you're going to be corrected. Someone's going to end up correcting you, and it's going to put you to shame. Pride comes before a fall. So anyway, now we'll go ahead and head on to 2 Samuel. So did you want to hop into some of this, Travis?
No, you're doing a great job over there.
All righty. I shall continue.
Yes,
all right.
Please.
What's up?
Yes, please.
Are you enjoying this?
Talk, please.
Okay. So Nathan is confronting David, where we're talking about, and this is after David had really done some jacked up stuff. But David was a king, and Nathan was his subordinate. So Nathan is basically confronting him because God went and told him to. But David ended up getting put in check. You know what I mean? Like he had to get an open and transparent heart. He had to have a spirit of forgiveness toward his followers. He had to have a responsible attitude, an ability to change, and a hunger to grow and stretch. Because the thing is like, when you get yourself into this situation of only doing what you desire, or you get off track and you get some crookedness in you, or you get some perverseness going on, or you do things that you shouldn't do, in a sense, you're going to be humbled. And then it's probably going to come with some brokenness. So ultimately, he fails, and he needs to be put in check by Nathan.
Yeah.
That is that.
Yeah. So, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done with that part. Back to you.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to conclude everything because I have nothing else to add on here. So.
Oh, we ain't going to Luke? I thought you were going to Luke.
I went to Luke already.
What?
Yes, sir. I went to Luke already.
Dang, bro. Okay, I thought we were doing that again.
Hey. We don't need a script. We'll do Luke 22:42 again, saying, "Father, if it's your will, take this cup away from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done." And that's Jesus being a good steward right there. And with everything we talked about, because God used the least of those to be great. For example, David. David was a king. Obviously, he wasn't the least, but what made him the least was sending out somebody's wife, Bathsheba's wife, Uriah. Sending him out to battle to basically go and die so he can take his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, he's like, he needed God's mercy for that. But still,
David
did some great and mighty things. Mm-hmm. And David did some great and mighty things. And then he had a son. And guess what? That son had the most wisdom to ever than any other man ever. Solomon.
Yeah.
Which God used him. And even used the bloodline of David, the lineage of David, for Jesus to be born through Mary,
Yeah. Son of man.
Son of Man. Yes. So, and God uses those who are considered the least, so no one can boast.
Yep.
Man.
Because like he is made strong in our weaknesses, you know?
Mm-hmm. So,
And one thing, so I want to add a little bit right here towards the end. So the commitment, right? Like
mm-hmm.
Jesus's commitment to that, like, you know, because he even talks about how he was like sweating blood. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like you have to imagine the emotions he was like going through. You know, like the level of commitment that he had to persevere through and continue to go through, even though like he ended up getting left alone. You know,
You're talking
like he had to
about
fully submit.
emotion. Yes,
Yeah,
like
bro. Like,
emotion, like yes, that plays a big role there, but also think about the physical pain too, bro.
mhm,
Like imagine being in a place to where you begin to sweat blood.
yeah,
Man, that is a one must be a painful place, physically and
bro.
emotionally, dude.
Yep. So I was just thinking about this, but I was watching a video a while back, and it's basically talking about the medical situation that Jesus was in on the cross and how
Oh wow.
excruciating the pain was and how much blood he had lost. And then how, like, literally the downward pressure from him up being up there, he had to, like, every time he had to breathe, he had to, like, lift himself up on the nails.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, he talked 7 times. So not only did he have to breathe, but then he was talking as well. The
Right.
7 times that he lifted himself up. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
bro, you're talking about like excruciating stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like, man, earlier today, and I'm just trying to make this quick, but earlier today, dude, like I was just like praise and worshiping, and I was like getting into it, and I was just like the songs was all lining up to be like just being in God's presence, like being in the Holy Spirit, like just wanting God's presence, you know, getting back to the heart of worship and making it all about Him. Um, you know, and that's just, you know, that's how it is, because like whenever we aren't aligned up with Jesus, right, like we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are.
Yes.
But if you don't realize you're doing that, I mean, your mirror is all jacked up, man. It's either broken or fogged up or smeared or something. You know what I mean? Like you can't see properly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just like how Jesus, you know, you don't become what you need to be by remaining what you are. Like
Ooh.
you won't ever be
Yeah.
able to grow outside of what something that you already are until you start trying to be that. Like you know, you have to envision it and intentionally apply it to do it, you know, and there
Mm-hmm.
comes pain and suffering through that process.
Yeah.
Jesus had to do what he did to become what he needed to be. He was already
Yeah.
God, you know, but he was already, you know, the Holy Spirit, but he had to do what he had to do, you know, he had to be
Mm-hmm.
obedient. And that was, man, that was, you know, extremely humble.
Yeah. I think like
So,
yeah, for God to be like, okay, you know what? No, just put me on the earth and give me the Holy Spirit because, and that's where all the miracles were done through the Holy Spirit,
mm, yep.
man. Which means we can do the same thing Jesus did because it's not by us, it's by the power of the Holy Spirit through us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
it's literally nothing that we do. I mean, we just we enact it out, and you know, he instills us in with passion, and we can get into that later. But you know, what I mean, and we'll probably dig into that, you know, this Thursday with Sean. Yeah, so y'all get ready for that. It's gonna be like 4:30 Central Standard Time. I think that's how you say that. I don't know. Never had to
is
do
that
that
our
before. That's
time
cool.
zone?
Eastern Standard Central Time. I don't know, something like that. 4:30, you know, Texas time. So if you want to
Yeah.
just like wind your
Yeah,
clock up, set an alarm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
4:30 Texas time. Yeah, there we go.
get super excited. No, it's gonna be really cool. It's,
Oh,
you know,
dude, yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be better than Marky Poo. Yeah, I don't know. So
Yeah. See, I believe Eastern Standard Time is 1 hour ahead of us, so take that as you will. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So,
last thing I want to add before we hop off is your
mhm,
relationships are just another version of you outside of yourself. So just like how you see the world as you see other people as you are. It's just a different reflection. And sometimes you can project that onto people and not even realize you're doing that. But if you see something into someone else, you're either scared of yourself being that way, or you don't like that part about yourself in that person. I mean, it's,
mhm,
it's just a lot to think about. So anyway,
yeah,
we're gonna dig into this way more. So, but anyway, that's
mhm,
that's the main point of the episode is let's work on our character. Let's self reflect to be more like Jesus, and get into His
yeah,
presence, and really look into the mirror of the Word, and align
mhm,
ourselves with it.
yeah.
So,
So
food
yeah,
for thought, guys. But that's the
mhm,
COD comp, and we hope to see you Thursday. And yeah, sayonara.
yeah. Sayonara.